Rhett, can you kind of just tell us the miracle play, the Little Rock? I guess what's your history with that play individually? I understand you've played it.
Yeah, I mean it's a very standard play that a lot of people run different ways. Where you got a deep post, dig across the middle, guys underneath holding linebackers, and you know we ran that play when I was a sophomore in high school. Hit the post a lot, hit the dig a lot, just never quite like that. And so, you know, our thought was get Ricardo in there, fast guy, take the top off defense. If you catch it, keep them great. But you're thinking really you're clearing everything out and trying to bring Sammy around the sticks and get the first down. And I think, you know, we had pretty good protection, but it takes a while to develop. That's why people don't run those plays on regular downs as much, because it's just hard in our league to protect that long. But they only rushed 3. Our line did a good job, and I think Nick slid up, and he kind of looked at Sammy, and when he looked, Sammy hadn't quite cleared the last linebacker yet, and I think he just felt, I need to get the ball off. You know, the last thing you want to do is get sacked and not at least give somebody a chance. So he gave Ricardo a shot, and just like we drew it up.
Did you think it just like you drew it up? So what? So you weren't even cheering. You knew it was going to work.
No, that's not true. I think somebody tackled me.
When you talked to Nick, did you think he should have gone to Sammy right there? Or?
You know, his read is post to the dig. That's his history. Who might have questioned the touchdown?
Talk about Ricardo, though. I mean,
Yeah.
he's done a lot of big things already in that game. Did
Yeah.
you see that as kind of like almost a coming out party for him a little bit?
Yeah, you know, even back when we played Western Carolina, Ricardo caught the deep one. We felt, and he's been playing more and made some catches against A&M. I mean, we feel like Ricardo's really developing, and he's someone we hope to keep bringing along. He had made some really good runs, real strong runs on some short ones. He caught the deep post earlier. You know, he was playing a lot of confidence, so we put him in, and of course he was wanting the ball. Everybody was at that moment. It was incredible concentration. I mean, the ball obviously bounced in a good way for us, but, you know, watching that replay over and over again, for him to find the ball and to be able to catch it like he did, you know, proud for him. It's a big deal. I'll remember that one for a while.
Off the field, obviously, Nick's been a big deal with what you guys do offensively, but off the field, what's the biggest thing he's brought to the team over the course of the season?
You said Nick?
Yeah.
You know, the guys believe in him. He's a winner. He's proven that. I mean, from whether he wins with, you know, the drive against Mississippi State, A&M the other night, it's a variety of ways, and some are normal and some aren't. But you know, the guy's he's calm. I mean, he really is, and that's what we saw in fall camp when we named him the guy, because he ran the 2-minute drills really good, and in the time we went live, he did good. But you never know until guys get in the moment. And, he believes in himself and what we're going to do. Even if he's having a good game, bad game, doesn't matter. When it becomes crunch time, he believes in himself, the guys do. And that's carried on off the field. You know, to me, the thing that speaks the most about Nick, if you really want my opinion, is the way Georgia treated him in the game. I don't know if anybody noticed, but every time they tackle him, and they tackled him a lot because he ran the ball a lot, they'd smoke him, they would help him up every time. Every single one of their players helped him up, because that's, you know, the respect he had of those guys when he was there. I mean, he's not a guy they were trying to injure or treat, you know, poorly. They were treating him better than they treated anybody else on our team. I know that. So, you know, I mean, that's just the kind of guy he is. Everybody likes him. He's a humble guy. He's a team guy, and when it's crunch time, everybody looks to him.
Being a part of this rivalry for a couple of years while you were here, just your thoughts and impressions on the rivalry.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. I mean, it's electric. I mean, I got 2009, 2010. It's just like an SEC or national championship game. I mean, it's you can't put it into words till you experience it. Doesn't matter which place you're playing at. Just the atmosphere and pregame and all that's electric. Of course, the build-up. It's important for everybody. It's important in state. It's important for both sides. And then obviously this year there's a little more on the line. So, you know, both sides will be ready to play. You don't ever got to worry about that. We got to get our guys to the game, have them prepared. That's what I learned more than anything in 2009, 2010. They're going to play their guts out. And, that's the best rivalry in college football, hands down.
How much has this week-to-week approach really almost all led up to this one game almost? It seems like obviously this is the last game you're going to have outside of the bowl.
Yep.
Unless you win, and then you got more.
Yeah. You know, we can finally talk about it. We don't have to say, oh, we're worried about the next game. But, you know, we've been building week to week, obviously, for the next game, and that's worked for our guys. They've done a great job of buying into that and focusing in. That's easier said than done. But, you know, we play Alabama, and they play us at the end of the year for a reason. It all builds up to this every year. And, that was our goal at the beginning of the year, to get better each week, so when this game came, we'd be ready to put the best we can out on the field, and, so we're ready to do that now.
Did you see anything in the players when you first got here that led you to believe that this was possible?
I don't know if I thought we'd be sitting here at 10-1, I didn't necessarily in my head think we wouldn't be. When we came out of spring ball, I didn't really know what to think till right after our spring game, then we had a couple practices. Just the way their body language and demeanor started changing, I knew they were starting to believe in it a little bit, that intangibly we were getting better. I don't think we were very good at that point, but you can't ever say enough about confidence. And we were able to win some close games early, beat Washington State, beat Mississippi State, play well in the second half of a situation where most teams would have gotten beat 60-20 at LSU. And of course, it all capped off when we were able to get the big win at A&M in, a back and forth deal. Each week you could just see it build. And so at that point, after we beat A&M, you kind of thought anything was possible, to be honest with you. But to answer your question the best I can, I don't know if I ever saw this happening, but I never thought and said, we can't do that. I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest with you.
You heard a lot of players and coaches talk that LSU game. Really, was that where it kind of turned around? That second half where you guys could lay down? And
well, it was part of it. I think the biggest thing for us, the first game we won. We beat Washington State. We won the game. We were able to beat Arkansas State, who's a good football team, going to have 7-8 wins this year, and beat them fairly convincingly. That's when our guys said, okay, we can do some things this year. But then when we played Mississippi State, we struggled for a lot of the game. We came out really good for about a quarter, and then we just were flat the whole rest of the game. And when Nick and the offense, we went on that drive, to me, that's the most defining moment, because that's when our guys really overcame some big adversity and did things that a lot of really good teams can't do, go 90 yards and whatever it was. And, to me, that was the signature moment that led our guys believe we can beat anybody. I do think there is a lot to be said for the way we responded at LSU. Probably what had happened in the past plays into that, but for our guys to prove, hey, we don't quit, we're going to play against anybody, and really we're a call here or there away from having a chance to win that one. So I think they kind of go hand in hand, but I would think the Mississippi State was the biggest thing, because we won a big game in a clutch moment, and you can't simulate those scenarios.
How much, at this point, do you just kind of expect Nick to make that kind of play, even in 4th and 18 where, you make a break, you got to do it? How much do you just kind of expect him to make the play you need to have him make?
At this point, I believe in him. I'm never going to count him out, and I'm glad he's on my side. And like I said, there's just certain guys have a knack for it. He probably couldn't even tell you what he does, other than certain guys are just born with this ability to win and to make plays and to elevate the play of others. And they can play great the whole game and do it, or they can have a bad game, but when it matters, do it. Some guys just have that. And from so far from what we've seen through 11 games, he's one of those guys that has that. So
how would you compare that to Cam?
Cam definitely had an incredible it factor, that just a kind of a will his team to victory. That was incredible. I never played with Michael Jordan, but I remember always thinking, this is what I would have thought Michael Jordan was like. He walks in there, everybody listens. When he says it's time to do this, they do it. And when it's crunch time, he's going to make the play every time. He's going to make the throw, make the catch, make the shot. That's kind of the analogy I always thought of with Cam, that he's the closest thing I've been to around that. I don't think it's fair to compare Nick in that point yet, but what he has done is winning some clutch moments that a lot of people don't. And, it'll be exciting the rest of this season and moving forward next year to see maybe where that goes.
Rhett, Alabama was giving up, I think, 91 yards a game rushing.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's been, particularly the last half of the season, been the big part of what you guys do. How important is it to be able to establish that running game in this game?
That's huge. I think this game is as physical of a tough man's game as there's ever going to be in this kind of rivalry. I don't know any stats. I'm just going to assume that the team that runs the ball probably wins more times than not, the one that runs it better. And strength against strength. They're the best in the country probably at stopping it. Right now we're running it pretty well. They know it, and we know they're good at stopping it. We're going to have to establish it at the same time. You got to have balance to establish it. When you play guys that are as sound as they are, they're going to be in the right spot. They're great tacklers. You're going to have to beat them by out executing them and trying to out tough them. And then and also, like I said, keep them honest, keep them balanced. I got a lot of respect for what they do, and but at the same time, this time of year, teams that are winning aren't going to change who they are. They're not going to change who they are. We're not going to change who we are. So, everybody's going to add certain things here or there to think give them a chance to win. But so it's it's obviously huge for us to be able to establish a run.
How important has it been for Corey Grant to do what he's been doing, especially on the outside when things, maybe start getting bottled up a little bit on the inside?
It's huge. He's a big play guy. He's averaging over 10 yards or right at it a carry, and kind of makes you wonder, maybe we should give it to him more. But he's explosive, he's fast, he's strong. It's a great element. Ricardo even got involved in that. I think between Ricardo and Corey, they had 115, 20 yards rushing. That's huge. That takes some of the pressure off Nick and Trey and our line to not always have to just go downhill at them. And so it's a good element that we've added, no doubt.
What do you think it's going to be like next week for Corey, having been in Alabama and then coming back home?
Yeah. I don't know. I hadn't thought about asking that. Obviously, having been from the state and then being there and now he's here, I'm sure it'll be pretty important to him. But I think if you've got to find incentive for a game like this, especially if you're from the state, then maybe you got some other issues.
Red, leading up to this season, the first couple of games, you guys talked about the balance between the three backs, and Trey has obviously taken over that top role, particularly in the road games, things like that. For a guy who's among the SEC leaders in rushing, among the nation's leaders in rushing touchdowns, just what has he meant to you guys this season to have that consistency there where you can go to him 25, 30 times a game?
It's been huge. I think you see inside the 5-yard line, he finds ways to win touchdowns. There's a knack that you can't coach with that. 4th and 1 the other day, same thing as the 4th and 1 at A&M. Wasn't really anything there. Not a lot of backs get that first down. He finds a way to dip down, be balanced, get the first down, a hard run. Having someone you can count on that has been there, that's going to run hard, that wants the ball has been huge for us. And we said that at the beginning of the year. We got confidence in all three of those guys, but I didn't know how long it'd be a committee deal, how long someone would kind of step up. And Trey obviously stepped up and kind of separated himself a little bit. And there's no doubt, I think we 3 out of 4 games were on the road in a row, and he was huge in all 3 of them. That was pretty big.
The Georgia had a pretty athletic defensive line. How did you guys get against them?
I thought overall did really well. You could tell that they were longer and athletic than a lot of teams we've been playing. Same when you play at Georgia, you play in Alabama, you play those kind of defenses, it's not going to be 60 and 40-yard runs all over the place. You're going to have to earn them and make the hard yards. I thought Trey ran really hard. He had 115 or whatever it was. It was hard yards. Nick, without sacks, probably had around 100 rushing. It was hard yards. But at the same time, I thought up front our line was extremely physical. And that's been kind of the consistency each week. Our line's been extremely physical up front. And, when you can do the things those guys do up front, it gives those guys with the ball in their hands an opportunity, even if there's one guy there, to make something happen. But Georgia, they definitely presented a bigger challenge than we'd had in a couple of weeks up front.
Just considering all the success you guys have had running the ball, just how does this offensive line stack up to the ones you guys have been around?
I don't know. I think you probably need to wait till the end of the year to kind of assess final judgment. But I can tell you this. I think they're night and day where they are right now than where we got here. J.B. Grimes is just, you can say it every week. He's done an incredible job physically with the fundamentals and the psyche of those guys up front. And, I think it'd be hard to find an O-line playing better as a unit and as a group in the country somewhere. But those guys know they got to bring it every week. It's just like the quarterback. They can't have an off week or, we're not going to get the results we want. So, and then the more we can do, they do a great job of protection. We were able to throw the ball some the other night, which helped balance things up.
Brett, how do you prepare for a linebacker like C.J. Mosley?
How do you prepare for one?
Yeah, how do
you emphasize that we got to block him. He's good. The kid A.J. Johnson at Tennessee is a really good player, and he's in the box just like every other team's linebackers in the box. So it's hard to really put any emphasis more on a guy than we know he's a guy that they try to free up and keep people off of him. And when he's unblocked, he makes plays. And he's as good as anybody in the country at doing that. So we've got to account for him, whether it's the lineman, whether it's the backs. We got to know where he's at. We got to block him. That's just the bottom line.
Were you pretty pleased with the passing game and not a couple more attempts this time?
Yeah, no doubt. As always, we miss some, that we can't miss. It's still that process of trying to be as efficient as we want to be, but we hit some big ones too. We hit Ricardo on the 3rd down the middle of the field. We hit Sammy to open the second half. Those plays led to a touchdown drive. We hit Sammy early on the first touchdown drive on a play action. That gives us a touchdown drive. we're getting there, but then we have a third down here, a third and goal here, where we gotta convert. But we're getting there, and we're just gonna keep working.
It's fair to say that what we've seen from Jeremy coming in for maybe 1 or 2 plays is kind of what you guys hope to do to the rest of the game.
Yeah, it varies each week, but I mean, the way Nick had been playing and the way just the team's been playing, you hate to really disturb things. If there's something that we feel like Jeremy gives us to win the game, he's going to do it. Jeremy is fully prepared and gets plenty of reps each week to be ready to go in and play the entire game. It's not a deal where we don't feel confident with him knowing the system or being able to play all the time. It's just, you know, the way it's gone. When Nick came back healthy, you know, he's kind of been able to just establish himself as the starter. There's certain things like the other day that are plays that we hadn't ran, but that we repped for a long time that Jeremy had repped the most. So we just, you know, keep him with Jeremy.
It's impressive. He comes in cold and he's completed two straight passes.
It's incredibly impressive. He did it against Arkansas, and he did it the other night. To come in off the bench cold and complete not easy throws, to be honest with you, and I think that says a lot about his talent and his future potential. I mean,
On the recruiting trail, just talk about, from being a new staff, what this season has meant in terms of momentum, where a lot of kids didn't know what you're all about. How do you feel like big picture, all this winning, how do you feel like it does?
well, it's huge. It gives you credibility. I mean, we come in and we start developing relationships with guys, and it's Auburn, so being Auburn, everybody automatically has interest in you. And a new staff is fresh, so, you know, guys would talk to you, but until they see proof that, hey, you know, these guys maybe really can do what they say, or they're legit, sometimes it's hard when you compete against other teams that have had coaches there or that have been established. So, you know, for us to win or to have guys come into an environment like the other night, you can only do so much. If you don't have wins and you don't have games like the other night, it makes it tough. But so winning is definitely the best thing you can do, and then doing it in front of a crowd like we did the other night, you can't get any better than that.
How have wins, like the way you've won games late, you know, kind of big national spotlight situations, helped in that to get more interest, to get a couple guys to maybe flip or just consider you more?
I would probably think any time they roll it on ESPN every 30 seconds, it's a good thing, you know. So we've had some games that, you know, have gotten a lot of publicity. It can't hurt. I mean, there's no substitute for winning, you know, with your own players or with guys you're recruiting. At the same time, I think probably the way we won games helped our team more than anything. Because like I said, it doesn't matter the consequences, the circumstances or the scenarios they're put in. They really believe in their heart. Until they see triple zeros and they're not winning, they don't have any doubt in their mind they're going to win the game.
Rhett, I know if you look at the numbers statistically, Sammy is by far your guys' top receiver, but you know, from the beginning of the year, we heard so much about finding the lead guy. I mean, is that how you guys view him, the coaching staff, as the lead guy?
Yeah, I mean, Sammy stepped up. He's been a big play guy for us. He's been very consistent at a position we needed him to be at, and I think he's only going to continue to get better. We had probably earlier in the year a lot of times, you know, it was a different guy each game, you know, maybe making a few catches in a touchdown here or there, whether it be Quan or whether it be Marcus or whether it be Sammy. You know, as of late, of course, there was 2 games we didn't throw it a whole lot, but you know, I think Sammy's coming into his own. He's getting better each week. I like the way Ricardo's developing. I like the way that Marcus and CJ and all those other guys, though, you know, we may not have a just clear-cut go-to guy, and that's okay. That's okay because, you know, Nick feels confident when he drops back. He can throw to any of those guys, and they'll make a play for him.
Do you guys naturally gravitate to players on the recruiting trail that can play receiver, but they've got that quarterback background?
I don't know if we just naturally gravitate to them, but we like those kind of guys for several reasons. One, with what we do, they're versatile guys. You know, I mean, we like to do a lot of unique things sometimes. I know we haven't done that maybe as much at times this year, but there's versatility there. The other thing is many guys that you have on your team that have played quarterback, a CJ, a Marcus Davis, a Ricardo Lewis, I can go on and on and on. They're smart guys. They're used to being the guy. They're used to touching the ball every play. They're used to knowing more than just what they do. So then it doesn't matter if they play running back, receiver, DB, corner. It's going to make them probably a better, usually more intelligent all-around football player, and you can do more things with them. You know, I mean, a guy like Marcus Davis comes in here as a true freshman and has no problem adapting right away and playing. Probably no coincidence that he was a quarterback in high school. I'm not saying you have to be, but he's a guy, pressure and those things don't bother him because he's used to being the guy at a high school, big high school in Florida, and touching the ball every play. So I don't know if we necessarily purposely go for those guys, but when we do like those kind of guys. And so when we find one that we think's a good fit for us, that's usually a big plus.
You brought it up about gadget plays and trick plays. Is this the most conservative you've seen Gus from that standpoint during a season? We haven't seen anything really.
Well, we'll see. There's more season left. Got to leave something up to the imagination, right?
Real quick, Greg, what does it say about Nick individually that, you know, Ricardo can come to him after the huddle break and say, give me the ball, and he has enough confidence in him to do that in potentially triple coverage, at least double coverage if not.
He's either got a lot of confidence into him or he was just going to listen to him in that moment. No, I mean, I like that Ricardo wanted the ball, and I like that he had confidence in him to make the play. And, you know, you can easily throw that and not make the play, but bottom line is there's a lot of power and positive thinking, and look what happened.